So today we're going to talk about how you might become a better Cypher player and 3 things you need to be doing if you want to be playing Cypher like arguably, I'm not even sure arguably to be honest, like the best Cypher player in the world, who is Nats of course. And the first thing I think you really need to know, and I think this is perhaps the most important thing for Cypher players out there, is you need to know a ton of different setups, particularly on the defensive side. So this is a game here that Nats played in Mech versus Ascend a while back now, but basically what's going to happen is you are going to see that from round 2 to round 5, I'm going to show you the different kind of screenshots of the map at the start of each round. Nats is going to put out different Cypher setups on each round, and this is something you need to be doing as well. You simply cannot have 1 or 2 Cypher setups for a map on the defensive side if you think you're going to play Cypher decently well. You need to be mixing it up quite a lot, I think, to try and get as much value, from the Cypher setups as you can, and you need to get into those custom games and figure out where are the gun cam positions, where are the good trip positions, all of this kind of stuff, where are the one-way, cages, all of that. You need to be figuring this out, right? Cypher, I think, takes a lot of work. This is why I think a lot of people don't think Cypher is that good, is because those people just haven't put in the work to find any good Cypher setups and then wonder why they don't do well in Cypher, right? Well, that's probably one of the main reasons why, because someone like Nats can find a lot of value from something like Cypher. And so let's just go through it, right? Here's round number 2. We see we got the cam here and 2 trips there. That's setup number 1. Coming on over to round number 3, we can see the cam this time is in hooker, and we've got this double trip setup towards garden instead. So that's setup number 2. Come across to round number 4, and again, we've got something else different here. He's actually come across to the A site this time, and again, this is something that you should be doing. You should be swapping sites to Cypher to mix things up again. Keep it unpredictable for your opponents. If they've got used to seeing all your cameras on one side of the map, come to the other side of the map, and now all of your setup is on that side instead, right? Mix it up. This is something you just have to be doing as Cypher to give yourself all these different setups. But you see, here was a different one: camera in showers, trips towards short here. And then finally, round number 5, again, something very different, right? Camera over here this time, and again, different trips. And you see, this is what I mean. You need to have all of the different setups, and this is just 4 rounds in a row. We could go more, and Nats had in this game more different setups as well. I think you just get the point at this point that, he has a ton of setups. You can already tell. And this is the thing. You need to know, all of the good camera locations that you can do potentially on each map if you are going to play Cypher pretty well. There are a ton of different cameras. I mean, Bind is not even one of its best maps, I would say, but there are different camera positions you can do that find different values and can be used at different times, and you need to be mixing up and doing all of these different cameras. If you're only using 1 or 2 cameras or 1 or 2 trip locations, that simply isn't good enough, and you are probably going to be not getting so much value from your Cypher utility, because if your opponent just has 2 brain cells, they're going to know where it is. They're going to be pre-aiming it, they're going to be looking for it, they're going to be destroying it straight away, and you're going to feel pretty useless. So the idea is you need to hop into some custom games and get a ton of setups, be thinking about where those trips are, where those cameras are. And honestly, Nats plays Cypher quite a bit on stream. If you're lazy, just go and watch Nats play on his stream when he's playing Cypher and just copy some of the setups that he does, because he has a ton of them, it seems, for every single map. So yeah, just hop onto Nats' stream and you'll probably find quite a few good setups. Second thing I think you really need to understand when you're playing Cypher is when to use your cam and how your cam needs to be used. It's one thing knowing a bunch of different positions for, a camera or the tripwires or whatever. It's another thing to understand, how they should be used. And in this instance, we're going to see something really genius here from the side of Mech. And Nats is going to use his cam in coordination with this guy here who is Defo. And you're going to see that this is just beautiful. So with this setup here, this is the one where the camera is in hooker. And just look at the position of this cam, by the way. It's absolutely insane. It took me a while to figure out how Nats even got the cam in this location. Eventually, I did figure it out. But yeah, it's such a ratty position you're going to see as we come to the camera. Look at this, right? Just absolutely look at this. And the way that I figured out how to do it was you stand on the box in this corner here. You have to do a jumping kind of turn. Maybe you can do it from this box. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I did it from that box. But it's not the easiest cam in the world. But just look at it, right? Look at how disgusting this cam is. And you can see here, Defo is behind this box here. So as CNED walks in here and he's going to see his legs and whatnot, Defo's then going to flash behind the box, and they know that CNED's there, and they're going to punish him. And this is what Mech were doing a lot on this map. And this is the thing, right? If you are in a duo or something like that, and you have a Cypher and a Sky, or any agent really with a flash, that, you know, can pop pretty quick. This kind of thing is going to be really powerful for you. You know, as a duo queue or whatever, you can set this up quite easily, you know, with your friend. You know, you can just tell your friend basically, oh yeah, just sit here and flash when I tell you. Basically, you know, you don't even have to coordinate that much. You know, you can just tell them where to sit and you know, get a flash off essentially and hopefully get a free kill. So you see they see CNED there, the pings come out, Defo flashes, and he has an absolutely free kill. And this is on a bonus. They would end up winning this map and this round. And one of the main reasons was they had a ton of Cypher setups that Ascend I don't think had ever seen before. And you see that CNED clearly had no idea what was going on there, and that was just absolutely beautiful. Another example here for you is from Fnatic versus Mech. Actually, we're going to see Magnum use his camera this time instead. This is from a while ago, but it's perhaps the best round of Valorant that's ever been played, to be honest, by Fnatic here. Because what's going to happen is the Cypher setup here this time is for Magnum. You see he's got his camera there and the two trips there. And they've got Durka pushed up towards Dish. This is obviously on the old fracture. You know, you can see that Mech, they start to come in here, but he's not going to use his cam at all, right? Not until they actually plant the spike, because this is meant to be a retake setup. That's what Magnum is doing. So he's just playing very, very cautious here, and they're just playing for full retake, right? And so he's not using this cam at all because he does not want this cam to be destroyed before they actually, you know, get the spike down. The whole point of this setup is, you know, to basically let them in this way, right? And so this is, again, something that you just need to understand with, you know, how you use this Cypher utility. So they start to come in onto the site, as you can see here, Mech. You know, they contact all the way in, and they do get all the way in on A. And you can see the camera is kind of like right above their heads at this point. But Magnum isn't activating it at all, right? He's just in here in Nest, you know, just taking a look. He finally sees Shados is there. Still doesn't use his cam, right? Still hasn't used any of his utility whatsoever. You know, he's still just chilling out back there, still hasn't used the cam, and he's still going to wait even for his teammates as well, because this is just solely a retake cam, right? And so what you're going to see here is they start to come in for this retake, right? They start to get into position and start to come towards it, and now finally they are going to, you know, start this retake, and you're going to see that they're going to use the cam only when fully necessary, right? So they get ready, Magnum goes onto the cam, and you see that he pings Redguard just there, right? So the first time that he activated his camera in this round was way into the round, right? Way into the round. And I'm not sure you'd do anything this extreme in like a ranked game, but it's just a good example, I think, of understanding, you know, to set up for a utility and know how you need to use that utility as well, right? If you've gone for a retake setup, you need to be telling your teammates that that is the case, right? You need to tell your teammates, whoa, I'm doing this. Or if your teammates aren't listening, then you need to adapt to what they are doing. And, you know, don't just have a full retake setup if your teammates aren't playing around that, right? Adapt to whatever your teammates do, whatever that might be. And you're going to see, you know, I mean, let's just watch the rest of the retake because it's pretty gnarly. So the cam goes in, they get the stun Redguard, the ult goes in from the raise, that gets a kill. Then the Cypher cages that were there from the start of the round, again, start to go up, right? The Cypher cages start to come up. I mean, we get a Brim ult as well. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They fired like 3 bullets in this entire retake. I've mentioned it before. It's the best retake that's ever happened in Valorant. All 5 of Fnatic stay alive, and you see that the setup worked perfectly for them. And, you know, they even had these double trips set up as well, you know, perhaps in case they thought, you know, they might, when they start to come in onto the site, they might lose, you know, towards sand. And, you know, if they do start to come towards sand, you've still got the double trips to stop them as well. You know, just really well done overall from Fnatic there. And we get a good sense of, you know, playing around your utility and understanding what your setup is there for. But now let's come to the attacking side to finish off for our final tip, and it's kind of a bit opposite, I would say, to the defensive side, where the defense side, you want to have as many different setups as possible. However, on the attacking side, if you can find a setup, or maybe a couple setups on a map on the attacking side that you think are pretty powerful, and it's probably going to involve the cages as well, then you might just want to just keep going back to them every single round, right? So this was kind of the meta on Split with Cypher, where you would have these double cages set up. You know, as soon as the barriers dropped, the Cypher would stand on top of this box, put these 2 cages down, maybe this camera as well. And the idea was that you could come in here as a Cypher, maybe lurk up, right? And your opponents don't know that you've kind of, you know, come up into this area, and maybe you lurk through as the rest of your team is going elsewhere. It could be that, you know, you just put these cages up and then you leave, right? And you come back towards mid. And again, your opponents are left wondering, like, are they in this corner, right? I don't know. We might need to use utility to clear it out, etc., etc. Or you could come as a full 5 stack and, just burst exec onto A. And again, these A defenders don't know that you're right on the doorstep of, starting this exec, essentially. So that was kind of how Cypher was used on Split, and it was very, very effective. And this was the only setup that Cyphers would use, pretty much, right? This is just basically what they would do for the entire game on the attacking side, was just this same setup over and over and over again. Now, so far, I would say that, there hasn't been any Cypher setups on other maps that have quite mirrored how powerful that was on Split, and that is why, Split was kind of a big loss for Cypher because it was his best map, in part due to that setup. But, there are other things that you could do, maybe not to the same degree, but, little cages in here like this on Pearl, right? We see commonly Astra stars in pro play recalled here. Maybe if, you don't have an Astra on your team, you put a Cypher cage there and you just set up with this Cypher cage the whole time, right? Meaning that you can come behind this box and any op that might be, anywhere down on B can't just look at this angle. They also have to worry about the other side as well. Or just anyone, looking down here can't just focus solely on this one angle because of this Cypher cage, right? Maybe you put a camera in behind it sometimes, right? And once the cage drops, you can take a look to see, are they pushing up? Where are they? All of that kind of stuff. Maybe sometimes you're here with your full team. Maybe sometimes you just put a cage down and you leave and go back towards mid. All of these different things you can do, and these are the kind of setups on attack that I think you need to be thinking about. One last one for Haven as well, maybe, is towards the C site, where, again, you can do the same thing. Hopefully throw, like, some cages down in here. I don't think it's possible from back here, but I think once the barriers drop, you can potentially get it from here. Maybe you put a camera in here to check that, no one's walking forward on you. And, once you've got that secure, you put up these cages, kind of with a similar effect to Split, where, you probably will need perhaps both cages here, but, with your team, you could walk down all the way as a 5-stack and, get down here and go for a full, full exec from the C and be right on the doorstep of C. Maybe you can just, sit in here and lurk and wait for your teammates to do something and then lurk through C and whatnot and go through there and, try and get kills and whatnot if you find a good timing. Or maybe you can just, put up these cages and leave, right? All of these different things that, you could potentially do here. This is how you should be using Cypher on the attack, right? You're mostly going to be lurking, but if you can find these setups where, you can kind of help your team exec onto a site because your cages will block vision, allowing your team to sneak all the way up to a site, basically, and then exec, that would be helpful overall to your team. So these kind of setups are the ones that you want to be doing if you can. Again, you're going to need good communication with your team overall to make this work. And that is why I think, a lot of people think that Cypher is super weak, because you do need to put a ton of time to find the different setups. You do need to understand how the agent is working. You do need to have communication with your team.